Hello, and welcome to Work in Progress, where we aim to find out more about students working part-time jobs. We travelled to Ballybunion to meet with Brendan Kennelly. We chose Brendan as our focal point, as he does not need a job due to having a disability grant. However, he feels that a job would give him a sense of responsibility. We plan to help him on his way. Hello Brendan, thank you very much for taking the time out to let us interview you.
It's no problem, Jar.
So tell me, what has prevented you from having a part-time job in the past?
Well, Jar, the main thing is I have a physical hindrance that has it limits what I can do in terms of work.
And how do you think having a part-time job would benefit you?
I think a part-time job would benefit me hugely because it would offer me that sense of responsibility which I haven't had to this point because I've been living at home, and it would just be such a crucial part of gaining that freedom.
Do you feel that it might be an added pressure that you may not be able to focus as much time on your studies?
Hopefully, if I do end up finding a part-time job, it would allow me to work with my employer to find hours where I could actually work, but at the same time that I could put study in to get through college.
Okay. And in your experience of your peers who might have part-time jobs, do you feel that they find it extra pressure to have a part-time job and study?
Well, it depends on the kind of job they're involved in. If it's a job where they're working long hours, it's obviously going to affect them because the long hours will be take a huge toll on them.
To gain some extra advice for Brendan, we travelled to the Shannon Knights to meet with manager Kieran Quish. As the manager, he has a vast experience of hiring student staff. What advice would you give to anyone looking for a job?
Regards in this business now or outside? In this business, I suppose it's difficult enough to give advice regards having experience because most people coming into our business don't have any experience or any work experience.
Yeah.
So best advice is trying to get as much experience regardless of what kind of experience work experience is. It could be in any form of business, not necessarily in the pub business.
And for anyone that's going for an interview, what are your tips in that regard? How do you impress your employer?
Simple stuff. Neat dress, be well presented, well spoken, know what you're about, have some idea or knowledge of the business. That's it really. After that, then what happens more so is people sit down for an interview, but in a few minutes you'd know.
What are the benefits
for us, for students?
Yeah, for having a part-time job.
For the student themselves, I suppose a few pounds. For us, it suits us. Our business is very much weekend orientated, so our Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights are our busy nights.
Yeah.
So that suits the students. The students are off.
And do you think it benefits positively or negatively the students' education to be working part-time?
I think it's if they can get a part-time job, if they get a job in the pub business, first of all, once you have the basic knowledge and skills, you can travel the world. You can get a job anywhere. In that respect, for students, it's great.
One of our main points in the documentary is we're helping one of our friends, Brendan, to find a job.
Mm-hmm.
So, for someone who hasn't worked before, or anything like that, would you have any particular advice for him?
Just keep knocking and banging on doors. He'll have to keep trying till he gets some experience.
Okay.
It's always easy to get a job when you're in a job.
If they're travelling, let's say if someone was studying up in Donegal now, they have to come down to Dublin to work or something like that. Would you feel that that's maybe...
Life's a bitch. We all have to do it. Do you know?
After our interview with Kieran, we went to Ballybunion Library to help Brendan improve his CV. One in 5 students struggle to pay their way through college, so we asked Steve and Jessica how they juggled college and work. How do you think working part-time while in education affects a student?
I'd say there's a couple of things. I actually had a direct experience with this. I worked part-time in UCC for a year, coinciding with my studies. I worked in Centra in the Cork, in the city centre, and I suppose I spent more time working in the shop than I did actually doing any studies. But that being said, I wasn't prepared for for college at all whatsoever, and money became a huge issue. So I was trying to balance the books in terms of paying my fees, trying to pay the rent, trying to get food on the table, and not actually paying attention to any of my studies whatsoever.
Okay, well last year I had, I kind of had 2 part-time jobs because I was in the Students' Union in my college. I was communications officer, and I also got a part-time job in like a grocery store, one of the super values. I thought like the amount of pressure that I was under was unbelievable. Like, as in I was trying to do some of my college work, and then, you know, I had to still keep up the job, because if I didn't have the job I wouldn't have been able to pay my fees. If I didn't have my fees I would have had to drop out. And then I ended up failing an exam, which was even more pressure because I still had to keep up the job to pay for the repeat, and like the fees are ridiculous for that kind of thing. So it's really trying to find like a good balance between like your job, your like education, and that's like something that I really, really struggled with.
And how do you think the government should be supporting students?
Full and total support financially from the Exchequer.
Advice would you give to someone that's looking for a job?
I would say when you're starting your job, like if you do get a job offer or something, just before you start working, tell your boss, you know, make sure that they know that you're a student and the amount of pressure that you're under. But you physically can't balance everything at the same time. So I would just say make your boss aware of the fact that you're a student in college.
So Brendan, the very best of luck, and remember what Kieran said to you?
Of course I will, Ger.
Okay.
Thanks for everything.
No bother. Since we last met Brendan, his Radio Kerry interview was a success and has a callback interview this summer. We believe that we have showcased some of the positive and negative sides of students working part-time while in education. This, after all, is only work in progress.